Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of CW Live for our Openreach members. It's fantastic, and I can already see hundreds of you ploughing on via various platforms we're hosting this on across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter tonight. We've got a really special session. Joining me tonight is National Officer Davie Bowman and Vice Chair of the Telecoms and Financial Services Executive Julia Upton. Good evening, guys.
Hiya, how are you doing?
Hi, good evening, everybody.
I should also let you know that in traditional standard, we've had some technical difficulties, and Davie's been jumping through the loops, but he's actually made it onto the session via his phone. So if we have any difficulties through the session, please forgive us and understand that just shows a level of commitment to find a way to communicate with you all. It's going to be a really good session tonight. We thought there's already, I can see 1,500 people who have already logged in the first minute, so that's fantastic. So please keep sharing, please keep tagging your colleagues, letting them know this session's on. It's critical. You know, obviously we've got so many aspects of the BT group, but we felt it was right and proper that we came out and spoke tonight to the Openreach members, and we've got Davie and Julia have got a lot to say tonight. But more important than that, I suppose, is they want to take and they want to hear your views throughout the next 45 minutes to hours. So please think of your questions. Please, put them across in the best way you can, and we'll try and get through as many as we possibly can within the time we've got. Before we do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Davie and then Julia just to set the scene for a few minutes on how important this campaign is and what perhaps you can do to support it. So over to you, Davie.
Good evening, and thanks very much, and apologies because of the technical issues. First thing is, the Countdown campaign is probably the biggest fight for most of us that we've ever had in our working careers, and I suppose I want to encapsulate it into 2 or 3 areas that are really important, and especially for those of you that are in Openreach. I want to consider the impact of compulsory redundancy and the long-term job security that we're seeking for you. We definitely need to have a look at the race to the bottom in terms of pay, in terms and conditions, and absolutely underpinned by fighting for your rights as key workers, because my goodness, have you not done a fantastic job over the last number of months. The first thing I'd want to say is around compulsory redundancies. And of course, at a time when there's lots of propaganda coming out from the company about recruitment and potential recruitment, etc., it might not seem relevant. But what you have to understand, and I'm sure many of you do, if you've worked anywhere else, that is that compulsory redundancy is a culture. It's not just a process. And what happens when the company or a company gets a taste for compulsory redundancies is that it fundamentally changes the relationship between you as the employee and between the company and ourselves as your representatives. And you have to ask yourself why they're attacking us and the way in which they're attacking us at this point in time. Look at the attacks on the severance terms. Agreement only 2 years old, they're attacking the severance terms. Location strategy, devastating the number of locations that we have, and fundamentally from our perspective undermining all the good work we did under working together to get you some real benefits and safeguards. And of course, what we want to do, what we want to achieve is an ability to deal with any issues around resourcing by using reskilling, by using retraining, and by using redeployment. And to give it a practical element, I suppose if I look at the most recent frames exercise that we went through, nearly 300 people were in a position where through drops in volumes, we had to deal with a surplus there. Not one compulsion. Why? Because we did it via redeployment, retraining, and reskilling. And you have to think about the future and think about what will happen, what could happen as we move towards the fibre rollout and the creation of fibre cities, and the impact that would have on people who are copper skilled, for example, and who are desperately trying to get fibre skills but can't get access to it. And from a race to the bottom point of view, it might seem a strange phrase to use, But of course, Openreach, as part of the overall group, is seeking funding from group to build the fibre network, and of course trying to get money off the government in order to build that more difficult 5 million homes. And the way in which they're doing that, of course, from our perspective, it would appear as if what they're going to do is use lots and lots more third party and actually increase third party in the traditional areas that we have. And for us, and from our perspective, what we want to make sure is that there's UK jobs to build a UK fibre network and that they are within Openreach. Undoubtedly, they've increased the use of offshore and the different elements of offshore, and they're moving more towards turnkey and, as I say, third-party contracts. And why would they do that? Because it's an absolute attack and will be on your terms and conditions, because if they win the money from the government, they got the money from BT Group, then clearly what they're going to want to do is drive down the cost from their perspective in order to build the network, in order to benefit the shareholders. From our perspective, from the CW's perspective, we can't thank you enough for the work that you've done right across the UK in order to keep people connected. And undoubtedly, for you, you deserve respect, and you deserve to be treated with the amount of respect that reflects the work that you've done. And for any senior manager in any company, when employees, our members, raise genuine concerns to say, well, if you don't like it, go and work somewhere else, is absolutely dreadful. You're keeping the country connected. So the Count Me In vote is there. It will be opening on Thursday. And we're appealing to you tonight and talking to you tonight because Openreach fundamentally are the biggest group of workers. You're the biggest group within BT Group. You're the largest constituent part within it. So your participation, you're voting yes, you're showing the company overall that you're not willing to go down the routes that they are seeking to go down is really, really important. And why it's important is it won't just send a clear message to Openreach, it sends a clear message across the piece. We have to change their approach, and we have to change the way in which they treat you and the way in which they deal with us. And a massive yes vote will undoubtedly save jobs. Fundamentally, we believe it will help us save sites, and it will save your livelihoods in the long run. Because even though you might not think that it's going to impact you now, this fight is not just about now, it's about tomorrow, it's about next week, it's about years ahead. It's about resetting that agenda and making sure you get treated as employees the way in which you should be. And the phrase that certainly I've been using, we've been using from an Openreach point of view, is that if we stick together and we fight together, we can win together. You are an influential group, you're a key group, and we fundamentally need your support. So I hope tonight you'll be able to see how important it is and you'll vote yes. Thanks, Griff.
Thank you, Davie. That's excellent, mate. Brilliant introduction. Just before we came on air, Julia, we were talking, and Julia said what we're going to. This forum is just like any other branch meeting, and I think that's absolutely spot on. Apart from this is a massive branch meeting because there's now 3,500 people watching live with us, so it's really big, but just a branch meeting. Julia, over to you for your opening statement.
Thanks for that, Chris. And I just want to start genuinely by thanking everybody, thanking you all as key workers. And when I say key workers, I don't just mean what you've done during COVID, although that has been absolutely amazing. But thank you for everything you've done throughout your career for Openreach, and CWU genuinely appreciate it. You are the success of this company. Without your hard work and dedication and goodwill, there is no successful company. You've delivered for Openreach and for the customers, and you've kept this country connected, and we genuinely want to thank you. So I just wanted to start with that. Now, if you're hearing my voice tonight, unusually for me, feeling a little nervous or anxious, I make no apology for that, and Chris has made the point about this is just a branch meeting, but actually it's more than that. And the reason why I make no apology for sounding nervous is because I care. I genuinely care. And yes, I feel a bit emotional and a bit vulnerable speaking to you, not speaking to members. That comes second nature to me. I always find it an honour to speak to you. But right now, I know how vulnerable you're feeling. I know how emotional you're feeling. And that is a huge responsibility for us. It's not about talking to members. It's so important, though, that we get this message across. And that is why perhaps this feels more than just your average branch meeting. Not because of the numbers that are on here, but because how important it is that we get this message across. We are in the fight of our working lives. Davie just touched on it now. We need to get this right, and we need to change the company's approach and direction. We know, we're not fooling ourselves, we know that the senior BT and Openreach managers watching tonight or watching this on playback, and we need them to hear and to listen and to heed what we're saying. It's a huge sense of responsibility. We know how you're feeling, the physical and mental well-being that you've expressed to us that is really suffering at the moment as a result of what is a noticeable change in the company's approach. And we don't want to add to that. We don't want to make you feel any more vulnerable than you already do. But equally, we can't just deny the situation we're in at the moment, the change that the company is bringing about. And we have to call that out and say enough's enough. We can't pretend anymore that this hasn't changed dramatically and that your future isn't at risk. Some may say this has been opportunistic at a time of COVID when you're feeling most vulnerable. Others have been described it harsher than that and said it's actually cruel and heartless, attacking on multiple fronts at the moment. We have put out recently emails to our members under the Count Me In emails to Openreach members specifically, asking them to feedback how they're feeling. And I have to say that has made some devastating reading. Members in their hundreds have come back to us and said they were so proud to work for this company, BT and Openreach, really proud to work for them. But right at this moment, that's not how they're feeling. They're feeling distraught and they feel that the company is being destroyed before their eyes. And they're appealing to us to, as part of Count Me In, as part of the Consultative Ballot that's starting on Thursday, to try and make a difference and try and change that. So with that, there's lots more I could say. Hopefully with the questions and answers, we'll be able to cover some of that. But genuinely, please support us in this, support your colleagues, support yourselves in making a change and making a difference.
I'm going to come straight to some questions now. That's fantastic, Julia and Davie as well. And we can see by what's in front of me, or perhaps you can't see it because you're concentrating, is just a massive support from the members, and we really do appreciate that. Lots of support also from the colleagues in the postal constituency, so thank you to everyone showing your solidarity. It's really appreciated. What I'm going to do now, we've seen a few questions crop up in amongst the sea of support, which is fantastic, but you know, Davie, Julia, and indeed all the officials of the union that come on and take questions during these sessions never shirk from anything, and there's been a couple of difficult questions asked, so we're going to go straight into them before we really sort of start to G you up in the second half of the session and get you ready for the ballot on Thursday when that paper lands in your personal email box. So Davie, the first question that's come up from a couple of members is, you know, how can you assure us that this campaign's for real? What happened to the Our Hours campaign?
Yeah, okay, no, thanks for the question, and I'd have been surprised if it hadn't come up. Our Hours campaign fundamentally was about getting rid of the 60 minutes travel time for those of you that are impacted by it. And what we sought to do was garner support across Openreach, but specifically for those that were impacted by it. And we managed to do that, and we managed to begin to get the company round the table in order to discuss with us how we could begin to get rid of that personal travel time. But like all sets of negotiations, they widened, and we began talking about what we believed would be a way forward for you to allow you to utilise flex in a different way. And we started talking about the potential of a sort of team-based incentive scheme. And then, of course, relationships begin to get a wee bit strained. And now we're in a position where, as you'll know, because we wrote out to you, the company has decided to launch trials without our support and without the safeguards that are there. So I understand the concern around PTT and Our Hours in particular, and it was through no lack of trying and engagement, certainly across many parts of the country, in order to convince the company that you believed it was an issue that wanted shifting. Unfortunately, it has to be said that the company didn't believe us until the latter stages of the campaign. We were in those negotiations, and of course now we're in a position where we've got Count Me In, which is across the whole of the company. But be under no illusions, we are still pursuing the issue under personal travel time. And I can give you an absolute assurance that we need to shift their mindset and shift their way of dealing with us and dealing with you. And if we do that via this campaign, then it will certainly be there on our agenda and something we continue to pursue. So I'm glad somebody's asked the question. It comes up at most of the meetings we do, and I've got a blunt but an honest approach, and I've told you exactly where we are on the issue. So thanks for asking.
Thank you, Davie, and I think people already, I can see in the comments, are appreciating that bluntness, as you put it, or straight answer. I think would be better, wouldn't it? You know, we don't come on these sessions and act like politicians. You've asked a question, you guys have got the answer. Julia, again, so someone's asked, you know, BT basically trying to say they're a massive company, they're a powerful force, they have, you know, lots of support behind them in established institutions. Like, how can we beat them in this campaign? Is that realistic?
I absolutely believe it's realistic. The important thing is that they understand that we do have the members behind us. You know, as your representatives, we make these points constantly. But as I said before, there is a change in that relationship, and I do believe that they are taking the view, partly because of the economic climate, partly because of COVID, that actually, Davie mentioned it earlier, that there are managers within this company who seem to take the view that you're just lucky to have a job, and therefore don't call things out. You know, the feedback we got from a lot of our Openreach field members in particular is that they didn't feel able now to call out issues of concern to them, you know, genuine concerns. And what we need to do, you know, we are a very strong collective force. We have a really high density of membership. And if the company genuinely believe that they have got this wrong, that the direction is wrong, that their members as a collective believe it's wrong, yes, absolutely, we believe that we can change that direction. But we're looking for the leverage in those negotiations. We're looking for the leverage and the absolute backing from our members in huge numbers. And as Davie said, you know, Openreach is the biggest section of our BT membership. In your huge numbers, if you back us in this, and that gives us the leverage, the company can't ignore that voice. And genuinely, we need you to support us. I absolutely believe we can make a difference. The company need to listen, they need to heed, they need to understand that this is the view of their overwhelming view of their employees. This isn't just your representative saying it on your behalf. And yes, I do believe we can change the direction.
Thank you, Julia. Fantastic. So just to let you guys know, we're now up to 4,000 people on the session. You can make that more, though. You can do two things for us. One, you can share the link now. You can tag your colleagues. You can make people watch live. But just as importantly, get in the workplace tomorrow. Show people that, you know, what Davie and Julia have been saying and how critical it is on Thursday onwards we get the yes vote out. The other thing is, you know, the question that's just been put by the member to Julia is you can do that. You can answer that for yourselves on this very session. So if you're behind this union and you're planning to vote yes on Thursday, simply put "I'm voting yes" in the comments now, and we'll share as many as we possibly can on the screen. And that will send a massive message to management and just how much support we have from our membership. Davie, another question that's come in for you is, could you let people know where we are on the repayments planners dispute?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we there's a good example of trying to get the company to listen. We held a consultative ballot, for those of you that are not aware, similar to this consultative ballot, and we got a 92% turnout with 90% yes, a fantastic turnout. We've been contacting and discussing the issue with the members on an almost weekly basis. We've got a campaign group that helps us with a lot of the work that we're doing. We finalised the membership issues. So from a ballot point of view, we are ready discussing the issues with our legal advisors today. And we're ready to send the appropriate documentation to the company. What's really important, what's really important about that, of course, is that fundamentally what the company have done is effectively ripped up an agreement based on grading, misconstrued potential changes to the role, and are trying to push it into a managerial role rather than being a top of the tree engineering role that people could aspire to. But one of the things that's been really heartening, and there's a fantastic lead for the rest the members in Openreach is that as a collective they have stuck together and they have driven the agenda, and they've been helping us every step of the way. So very, very quickly we will definitely see the next push on that, and we will be writing to the company accordingly and setting that process in motion. So fantastic response from them, and if we could turn out that 92% in this consultative ballot across the whole of BT, to echo what Julia has just said, they would have to listen.
Thank you, Davie. That leads really nicely and slickly, almost as if we've been working together, into my next question to Julia, which is, Julia, obviously, you know, we've got several sections of membership within BT Group, all of them as valuable as each other, but the reality is a huge block of our members sit within Openreach. So, you know, the ballot, in many ways, in terms of yes vote and in terms of turnout, will be won and lost by our members who are watching tonight. How important is it that our Openreach members both vote yes, but almost more importantly, vote in this ballot?
It's absolutely crucial, as you just said, Chris. In terms of numbers, if we want to get anything like a massive turnout and a massive yes vote, we need our Openreach members to fully participate in it. Without them, that isn't decrying any other member or any other member's issues. We all know that, you know, this mainly started with compulsory redundancies, and that has hit other parts of the business before Openreach. So what we're genuinely concerned about is there's a danger that Openreach members, not so much the desk, because I think they can see the writing on the wall and what's coming, but our Openreach field members, we genuinely do not want them to say, this is not our fight. This is everybody's fight. Davie said, you know, compulsory redundancies, race to the bottom. These are cultural issues within the company. If the company believe that they can get away with this with anybody, it doesn't matter where you're working, they will believe that they can carry that through, and everybody is then under threat, whether that be their future job, their job security, their terms and conditions, management style, attitude. You know, it runs all the way through. We have to be very clear that our Openreach members are engaged in this, they get this, they see that this is their issue as well as everybody else's. They are the large volume of our BT membership, and we can't afford for any of them to sit back and let this be somebody else's fight. They all work for the same company, they're all facing the same challenges. If the company decide to go down this route, everybody is impacted. So absolutely, it's crucial. Please support, as I said before, not just yourself and your colleagues, but this is actually about the future of the company. And I know how dedicated people are to this company and the customers. This is not an attack on the company. This is a way of trying to protect the company and move this forward to make it the company we believe it can be, as good as it can be. And as I said before, people used to be so proud of this company. We believe they can be proud again, but we do need to see a change of direction. And the only way that's going to happen is when management start listening. Please shout loud and clear in huge numbers and vote yes.
Thank you, Julia. That's fantastic. Davie, obviously, in normal circumstances, when we were holding an official ballot or even a consultative ballot, clearly we would be now holding like masses of membership meetings. We'd be in workplaces, and we would be sort of, you know, trying every one of our traditional tactics to win this vote. Obviously, things are very different during this ballot, and it fits in with a question from Michael, which I'll put on screen now, which is, why is the ballot on for so long? So maybe you could take the chance to explain why the timetable is a bit longer, and also some of the things that we're doing during this period to win the ballot.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, from a practical point of view, what we want to do, and obviously with COVID, there are certain restrictions and things that are more difficult to do, but they're not impossible to do. And we certainly have to recognise from an Openreach point of view that our members are out there, a vast majority of them are out there every day. They are interacting with the public, they're interacting with businesses, they're going about their business, but they're doing it in as safe a manner as possible. So lots of our branches have got various things planned for the next few days and over the next 2 or 3 weeks. But why the balloting period is over that period is genuinely in order that we can discuss with as many of you as possible, contact as many of you as possible. Certainly we were discussing today, there will be a level of phone banking going on, I know that many branches have organised separate meetings. I did one for Coventry branch last night. Tomorrow I'm doing one for Portsmouth and Isle of Wight branch. Other people are doing meetings, so that this is apart from the questions that Chris can ask us, this is a sort of a one-way almost dialogue, whereas when we're holding these other meetings that I would encourage you to get along to, then it's more of a two-way, because we can get a better interface. But our branches will be out and about. What I'm not going to do, Chris, is I'm certainly not going to show our hand in some of the more spectacular things that our branches and regions have got planned. And we had a 2-hour meeting with a representative from every region today. And I can absolutely assure you that there's plenty planned in the next few weeks. What I would encourage you to do, to echo what Julia said to some extent, is talk to your colleagues, see how you can get involved, because it is about getting that message across and talking to one another, because undoubtedly we can win this argument and we can change the direction that they're going. So there will be meetings, you'll be receiving emails, texts, voice messages, letters to your home, various other things will be going on. But what I wouldn't want to do, Chris, as I'm sure you will imagine, is I don't want to take the shine away from any of the spectaculars, shall we call them, that are definitely planned for the next few days.
Thank you, David. That's brilliant, mate. It comes on to my next question to you, Julia. Obviously, you know, with all the sort of best will in the world, you know, we would be hoping to reach every member, and everyone across the BT group knows exactly what's going on. They can't wait for their ballot paper on Thursday. They're right down the union. But clearly, you know, there's always going to be gaps. And Colin points out now, he says that everyone needs to be spreading the word, not just the local reps. We, the members, are just as responsible to get the message out there when we meet people. And that's a really strong message from Colin, and echoing what yourself and Davie have been saying. But there's also a few members on the feed saying they haven't heard anything from their branch or their local rep to date on the campaign. And, you know, what's our message to those people?
I mean, obviously that is really disappointing if people haven't heard, but we have to accept that for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what channels we use, and we have used every channel, you know, whether it be social media, email, text, WhatsApp, branch meetings, posters, home mailings. We have tried to get out to everybody. That's how important this is. It is genuinely, as I said, the fight of our working lives. So we have done everything. We'll always get some people that, for whatever reason, you know, haven't accessed any of those mediums, and that's where we rely on you, the members. I was speaking to somebody within my own branch last week who was saying that the field engineer, and they're genuinely worried, you know, because of COVID, because we can't get out and into exchanges and into some of the usual ways that we would go and just have that face-to-face conversations. They are genuinely worried. But he has said, and I'm sure this is echoed around the country, that give them the material, which we are doing and have done, and they will go out and speak to everybody. We are all the union. We can do so much, whether that be at a national level, regional level, branch level, to get this message out. But ultimately, we are all a collective. We are all the union. And please, you know, we all owe it to each other to have those conversations. If there is somebody who says they're not receiving emails, you know, ask them to double check what email address we're sending it to. It could be that they've changed their email address. You know, not everybody comes on social media. I know you said there's thousands on here tonight, and hopefully even more when we've shared it, but not everybody does. We have to find a way. Whatever medium people want to hear from us is the one we will use. And genuinely, if you can assist us in any way with that, we want to be absolutely sure that there is nobody as part of this consultative ballot that is excluded from it, that their voice, everybody's voice is just as important. We need to make sure that all of them have that voice. So please assist us with that in whatever way you can.
Thank you, Julia. That's brilliant. Davie, lots of people talking about, you know, where next after the ballot result, and quite a few questions around the potential for strike action. You know, crystallising by members saying, does this mean if we put an X in the box for the consultative ballot, we're going on strike? Both from a perspective, we've got members saying, can we go on strike? We got members saying we're not sure if that's the right thing. So, you know, what the impact is that voting that X box come Thursday mean?
Yeah, okay. I mean, this is a crucial distinction between what we're doing at this point and what we may have to do in the future. This is a consultative ballot. This allows you, via the medium that we've created, to show very clearly that what you will be willing to do in a consultative way is support strike action, support industrial action going forward. Fundamentally, that is about showing to the company that enough is enough, and from your perspective, you want them back at the table. We want them back at the table. We want them discussing the issues that are important to you, fundamental to you, and the way that we do that is by holding this consultative ballot, by actually demonstrating quite clearly to the company, right across BT, Openreach, EE, right across the piece, that we make very, very clear that their approach and their change is not acceptable. So this is a consultative ballot. Get them back to the table. Absolutely. They need to understand that if that does not succeed, and we believe it should succeed, because, you know, they go on about care surveys, you say, what an engagement score this would be if we can deliver a massive yes vote, because quite clearly their employees, our members, will have spoken. So it's fundamentally about getting them back to the table. Get them back to the table, get them in a position where they can listen to our concerns. I think the phraseology that Julia uses is one that's absolutely right. Turn it into the company that it can be. I mean, just to allay any fears, you know, it's not the CWU that's changed. The national officers, the executive, the regional coordinators, the branch officers, we haven't all of a sudden had a fundamental clear out of everybody, and it's a brand new set of people just wanting to cause the company problems. The changes have happened on their side of the table. The last time that we even had to contemplate this nationally right across the piece properly was probably back in the 80s when some of us were about. We've not had to do that since then. Why? Fundamentally, because of your strength, because of those that came before you, if you're new, and the fact that we had a relationship with the company that understood the value of dealing with a trade union and the value of making sure that that relationship is strong. Therefore, when change is needed, and of course change is things that happens and time goes on, but it should be done correctly. So it's fundamentally about getting them back at the table. A huge yes vote will get them back at the table, but they have to understand, because they will be listening. If that is not enough, then we will consider taking that further step. So that's exactly why this is so important, Chris.
Thank you, Davie. Fantastic. Julia, I'm going to come to you. What we've done lots of things to try and build momentum behind the campaign and get members the understanding out as far and wide as possible. One of the things that we've done is we've asked our members to email the senior managers and make their feelings absolutely clear. And we've provided them with assistance in doing that. Would you encourage every single member to follow that process and get that email sent off? And two, we've had a couple of members who have said, have yourself or Davie seen the response that's come out today from Kevin Brady, who seemed a little bit upset at having his email box full? So I'll come to you first, Julia. And Davie's smiling, so we'll let him come in afterwards.
Yeah, we have seen it, and not unexpectedly. Of course, the company are going to respond to those emails. But yes, it is really important. As I say, this is about us convincing the management that this isn't a CWU battle. This is on behalf of our members. This is the feeling that is being expressed by our members. As I said, we emailed out ourselves to our members, and responses were quite devastating in terms of how the company is making them feel at the moment. Our field members in particular, well, that's not true actually, our desk members, it was quite loud and clear that their biggest fear was their job security. They genuinely fear for their job security and the Openreach strategy approach, and that needs to be fed back, that they're not buying this no compulsory redundancy. They've seen the moves that are expected for them to make, and they can see that there is no way that vast majority, or certainly large numbers, thousands, will be able to go to those sites within reasonable travel. So they are genuinely fearful for what this means. Yes, the company may not want to make compulsory redundancies, but they may not want to pay compulsory redundancy money, is the point. But there is no way that this can be managed without some level of forced exits. So I think getting the message back in the same way as you have to us through the emails to us, getting that message to management is just as important. I would like them to read every single one of those emails that you've sent to us. The ones that have said, we can say this to you because you've promised us anonymity and we're pouring our hearts out to you anonymously. We couldn't possibly say this to management because we fear what consequences there would be if we do. The style of management that has been expressed to us that is unacceptable, that they can no longer raise legitimate concerns with the company without being shouted down or told that they should just be grateful for a job. So I don't believe the company are hearing how people feel because they're frightened of saying how they feel. Thankfully, there are hundreds of people who have been prepared to send those emails, but I believe there's thousands of more who feel the same but fear the retribution. If anything, if it's go by what we've heard, I believe that is genuinely the case. It is important that management know how you feel, and if we do that, if we have to do that collectively as a union, as opposed to anybody feeling that they want to put their head above the parapet, then we understand that. But believe me, if you send that message, it will be so loud and clear if you're prepared to send individual emails as well. As I say, some of those emails have referred to people's mental health and well-being, and I understand, genuinely understand, why they don't want to put themselves in the firing line of sending those. But it is really important. The perception that we are being told that the Openreach members, our Openreach members now have of management, is that they are putting profit before people and service before safety, and enough is enough. If you can do anything to help get that message across, that they don't believe that it's just the CWU saying that for whatever reason, and we are genuinely representing our members, then we will really appreciate it.
Thank you, Julia. That's fantastic. Davie, I'm going to come in on the back of that, if I can, with yourself, really. Similar question, but, you know, as you know, through your experience, part of any campaign is increasing our leverage on the company. And I think there are certainly signs that, you know, the impact as the message spreads and BT are getting increasingly rattled. And that's surely a positive, and surely something members can take inspiration and hope from, is that, you know, the more they come on side with the union, the more chances that we can be able to move this employer at the end of the day, surely.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. And it is important. And we do understand there may be some who are slightly reticent in sending the letters. But we developed them and we spoke to people. And to be honest with you, some of the questions that we posed in there were direct lifts from some of the feedback that we were getting from our members. So we didn't sit and write the letter just on the background of things that we thought were important. We wrote the two letters because there was two. There was one to Kevin Brady, the HR director, and one to Ollie Kunk, who's the managing director of service delivery. Different questions, different approach, because they're responsible for different things. And yes, we've seen the response. And you know, it's a response that we would have expected, which tries to discredit the genuine concerns that you have had. But yes, of course, they are going to get rattled, and it is all about leverage, and they will be looking to see exactly, you know, how many people take part. But no doubt they'll be sitting listening tonight. And Kevin and Ollie, if you think that just getting not as many as you would have expected is any sign that there's no enthusiasm amongst our members, I think you should listen very carefully to what Julia has just said, and maybe it's the attitude of some people in the company that's making people a little concerned about doing it. But I would encourage everybody to do it. Get that email in, get that letter in, fill up their inboxes, and get them thinking about what it is important to you and important to your colleagues. So yeah, you're right, Chris. There's the leverage is there. It's one of the elements that we're going to use. And yeah, they are getting rattled. And you know, I would say on calls that we have, because there is some business as usual stuff going on, I would think I could tell you that quite a number of senior managers, as part of the sort of general conversation you have before or after a meeting, are quite interested in how the campaign's getting on. And I wonder why that is.
Brilliant, thank you, David. That's fantastic. I'm going to start sort of bringing the session to a close with a series of questions that I'm going to ask you both to answer. Before I do, I want to say to people, we can see, or I can see certainly, the amount of you who are piling in to say you're voting yes. I'm sorry we can't get you all up on screen. My hands don't work that quick, especially when I'm trying to think of the next questions. But we're trying to get as many of you on, and it's brilliant to see such a big turnout. And I know that pleases Davie and Julia, because that's what we all wanted tonight. So in terms of like some sort of like final set of questions I want to put to you all. First of all, to you, Julia, obviously, for a long time, there was a period of industrial stability with the company. And, that's, I think, probably the unique thing about our union is, you're not looking at a bunch of representatives here who are just whipping into the company for no reason. We would say that BT has been a great employer over many, many years, but something certainly has changed in more recent times. So I want to ask you both, starting with yourself, Julia, what would your message be to the managers watching this session tonight about, the way things are going at the minute? And you're on mute, so I'm just going to unmute. There you go. Go.
I would say it's time for them to take a deep breath and have a good look at themselves and the direction the company's going in and what has caused this change. As we've said, the CWU haven't changed. We don't believe our members have changed. They are still the hard-working, dedicated key workers that they've always been. I know key worker is a new phrase because of COVID, but they are key workers and have been key workers for decades. And they haven't changed. So what I would say to the senior managers is they need to look at why this has changed. What is influencing this change? And they also need to look at the reputational damage that they are going to risk in throwing away 30 plus years of industrial stability. The reputational damage of benefiting from billions of pounds of taxpayers' money to build a UK network whilst they're driving down valuable UK jobs, direct labour and terms and conditions. The reputational damage of being a highly profitable technology company that's keeping this country connected when they're not going to use their own technology their own success to save jobs by keeping people connected and not having to travel huge distance to new so-called better buildings, which there's no irony lost on us in calling it better workplace. And they also need to look at the reputational damage that this brings about their green credential hypocrisy in having people travelling hundreds of miles a day to get to these buildings. But most of all, I think they need to look at their reputational damage of putting profit before people in this current climate. I don't believe the public, the customers, their employees, the UK as a whole will forgive them for this. And I think they seriously need to look to themselves as to what reputation this is creating and who is creating it.
Thank you, Julia. David here, you can see on the screen, says no rude words, Julia. So you could probably see that you were getting a little bit wound up when you speak Openreach management. Davie, you worked obviously with...
You know me, I don't swear.
No, I know. Davie,
I feel passionate, but I don't swear.
Davie, you've worked with, obviously at a very senior level with the company for a number of years. You've seen that change, you feel that change. What would your message be to those people?
Yeah, I think it's a similar approach to what Julia said about reputational damage, because for some of these folk, they come in, they make their mark, they create the chaos and they create the damage, and off they go, and they don't have to pick up the pieces. One of the things that fundamentally our members are very, very proud of is actually working for BT, working for Openreach, because they can see the benefit, they can see the absolute benefit that a successful BT and a successful Openreach would bring to the UK society, and certainly as we head towards whatever coming out of this pandemic is going to be, because they are directly involved. Let's talk about some practicalities. They're directly involved. Openreach will be seeking funding from the UK taxpayer. There's about Boris's 5 billion for the 5 million. They are going to want a big chunk of that, and we would encourage them to get that. We would want Openreach to win that business and win that business and create and maintain UK jobs. That's fundamentally the element, because what appears to be happening, and certainly to create and maintain UK jobs within Openreach, because there also seems to be another mantra amongst senior managers that they get a wee bit upset when our members, and specifically our members, moan about the increased use of third party, because quite rightly they see it as a threat to their future, a threat to their pay and their terms and conditions. But somehow they come from other businesses where it's been a partnership. Well, it's a pretty uneven partnership, isn't it? When what you do is you create an environment, you get government money, you build a network that is going to help society move forward in the years ahead. But what you're actually willing to do is utilise companies that have absolutely dreadful terms and conditions for the people that will be doing that work. If you look at some of the third-party suppliers, some of those people are members. That's why I can say that. Some of those individuals are our members, and they tell us how dreadful it is, and that's why it's important that we actually make sure that we maintain the pay and terms and conditions, because if Openreach and BT start pushing in that direction, then effectively what they'll be saying is they want that contractor model. So, you know, from their perspective, they see that as some sort of wonderful partnership, when in reality, what it means is a real two-tier, three-tier approach in terms of the people that they employ, either directly or indirectly. And look at what they are doing, and what they are asking the government to do is to give them that money. And as I say, we would want them to win that, and we'd want them to do it, but we'd want them to do it properly, because that is about building communities. It's about securing communities. It's about growing communities in places where without that connectivity, it would be impossible. So in those circumstances, why would they not want to create long-term, permanent jobs for those people who have worked for the company in order to build that network? And some of the things that we're seeing over the last few weeks in terms of a movement towards third party for some of the future jobs, you know, the fibre provision, etc., is a real worry. Because we need to be able to win this fight and win that argument in order to make sure that the terms and conditions of those we currently represent and those we want to represent in the future are not damaged further. Fundamentally, I would ask them, Chris, to look at themselves, right? Look at yourselves and ask yourself this simple question. What legacy are you going to leave? And is it going to be carnage, or is it going to be a company that you came and joined that was actually doing very well, stable, industrial stability, working well with its trade unions, working well with its employees? And do you really want to come into that and then look behind you when you leave and see the carnage you've caused? Maybe they don't care, but I'll tell you what, the CWU and its members do.
Fantastic, brilliant, Davie. And just a message to Davie and Julia, because I know you're both obviously 100% concentrated on the session, but it's just been lots and lots of praise for both of you. And for where the union is. So, like, you know, thank you to you both. I'm going to now move to our branches and our reps and ask you both to, you know, give some words to those people. I mean, you know, we know how difficult it is. We know our traditional sort of campaigning methods have been cut off due to the pandemic. We know how much work branches are doing, but yet here we are again saying, can you do a bit more? This is a really, really big week for the union and for our members. And ahead of that, and in the midst of that, Julia and Davie, starting with yourself, Julia, I wondered if you had a message to our branches and our local reps.
Just a huge thank you. We do genuinely know how difficult it is. We know how much work they're putting in, and we know that they're fielding all the queries and the concerns and the worries from members, and it's draining. You know, everybody going through COVID has suffered on a personal level, on a collective level, at varying degrees, and we keep asking more and more of people, and we know how difficult that is. And genuinely thank you for everything you're doing. You're not able to use the traditional methods that we've used. There's been a steep learning curve for all of us, even getting across on a meeting like this. Who'd have thought this 8-9 months ago, that this is the way that we would appeal to all our members? We recognise how difficult that's been. We recognise how tired and exhausted people are, but we also know how passionately they feel and how much they recognise how important this is. The next few weeks are going to be absolutely crucial in order to hopefully to avoid where none of us want to go, which is an industrial dispute and a strike ballot. We realise how important these few weeks are going to be in getting all the members behind us. I actually don't believe there's an issue with getting members behind us, but every single member deserves contact and an explanation and an arm round them in these difficult times, and that is time consuming and difficult. So thank you genuinely to all our reps. Please sit with us. I know you will, because I know how passionate you feel and how important this message is.
Thank you, Julie. That's brilliant. Davie, I wondered if you have some thoughts for our army of representatives who are out there trying to win the ballot and protect our members.
Yeah, I think what's been particularly uplifting, and I know every time our reps and branches get yet another email for Davie Bowman or another email for Alan Eldred or Andy Kerr or whatever, they think, oh my goodness, what are they wanting us to do now? But they have stepped up to the mark, right? And I'll tell you the reason I think fundamentally they have stepped up to the mark is that because for many of them, they have seen and played a part in creating the industrial stability. So they can see what's at threat, and they can see how things could be done better, and they can see what the future can hold if and when we win this fight. So they can see that, those branch officers and reps that have been about for a while. But what has encouraged me and the team, and it's an Openreach call, I'll say, and the Openreach team is the number of new people that have stepped forward. We have lots and lots of folk right across BT and EE, but particularly in Openreach that are visible to us. Lots of people who have come forward, who want to take part, who want to make a difference. Some of them not in the company not that long, but want to make a difference. Why? Because actually they've joined the company because they saw the type of company it was. They have left companies and left industries that treated them absolutely dreadfully. They have come into this company, they have listened to their colleagues, they've taken part in some of the activity that we have organised, and some of these people will be the representatives, formal, the branch representatives, the regional representatives, the executive members, and probably the Davie Bowmans and Andy Kerrs and Alan Eldreds of the future. And great stuff, so they should be, because that's what we're fighting for, our future. So a big, huge thank you to the reps that are there at the minute, and a big thank you to those that are stepping forward and taking part, because they are going to make the difference in assisting it. And actually, I've got to say, some of the folk that are stepping forward have helped me personally, because yes, I did have a few technical problems this evening, but getting used to all this social media malarkey has been a real learning curve for me. So a big thank you to all the folks that keep showing me which buttons to push. It is appreciated.
So there you go. Like, we're going to win a big dispute and get Davie into the 21st century. It's a miracle. So I mean, one of the things I spotted in the comments, by the way, is quite a few members who are saying that they've delayed and they've forgotten to hand over the union their personal email address. We've spotted those. We'll contact you directly. But if you haven't registered, so you're weary of getting your ballot paper, please speak to your branch. We've got a special email address set up where we can connect you, and we'll guarantee you're going to get your vote. So don't panic. We'll make sure everyone gets there. So right, we've hit the last question of the session. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to come first to Julia and then to Davie, and just ask you for your final messages, really, to members, and final messages to close the session. I think it's been a fantastic session. The support's absolutely massive. I think what's impressive as well is the numbers throughout the session have maintained really, really high. So that shows it was the true value in putting on a session for our Openreach members. We can be pleased we did that. And I think now all that's left to do really is for both of you to deliver your final messages. Over to you, Julia.
Yeah, I mean, just to repeat some of it really, and it's a plea to everybody, genuine to everybody, but I suppose especially to our field engineering members in Openreach, only because, and I don't necessarily agree, but some people are saying to us that they don't really believe that it directly impacts them at this moment, because this campaign very much started around compulsory redundancies and the location strategy type issues. So I really want to appeal. I'm hoping I don't need to appeal to the desk. I'm hoping that they absolutely recognise it. But to our field members, please don't believe for 1 minute that this doesn't affect you. This is everyone's fight. BT are getting a taste for forced exits to drive down the higher paid direct labour. And believe me, if they once get a taste for that anywhere, it's coming to a place near you soon. This is about the devaluing of key workers, and that is a senior manager mindset. If you start to devalue your key workers, and that doesn't matter what your current role is, that is a mindset. I think Davie said earlier about it being a culture that we have to put paid to now, otherwise it will seep in everywhere. I genuinely believe that the company has kind of lost its moral compass, and we need to redirect them. And I don't mean that to sound patronising. There are very capable senior managers, but for whatever reason, they seem to have lost their moral compass, and the success of this company and our customers depend on us redirecting that focus. And it depends upon you to help do that. Openreach seem to have lost sight of this and the reputational importance of recognising your value. And I genuinely am appealing to you to not only through the consultative ballot, but through any conversations you have, through any messaging with your managers, no matter how difficult you feel that is, we have to try and redirect them. On Thursday, emails will be arriving, as you know, in your personal email box. It's been said earlier, at this moment in time, this is a consultative ballot, not a statutory ballot for industrial action at this stage. Hopefully we don't have to come to that, but the only hope we have got of not getting to that point is if the companies start listening on the back of the consultative ballot result. So please, genuinely, this is your opportunity to send a clear message to the company that they need to reset their moral compass and that you demand change on how they value you and how they value your future. As Openreach members, we're asking you to stand together in your huge numbers and make a difference. Please rely on senior manager who makes this company a success. It's not them, it's you, and we need to remind them of that. Regain your pride in working for them and have your say in the direction of Openreach. Please vote yes when the ballot arrives on Thursday.
Thank you, Julia. It's absolutely fantastic, and I wish you could see the comments that I'm seeing, and people getting really, really emotive and feeling what the words you're expressing there. And I think people just having that connection with, like, moving from being so proud to work for a company like BT and Openreach to, you know, the state where we are now. Davie, Bowman National Officer, I'm going to give you the chance to set out and close the session with some final words. Over to you.
I mean, first of all, thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody who's joined the call this evening. I'm glad we've got the numbers that we've had, and I'm absolutely sure that you'll share this and tell your colleagues about it, and more people will pick up the messages that we've got here. We can win this fight, and the reason that we can win this fight is because, see, at the bottom of every argument, to some extent, there's right and there's wrong. And I think if we look inside ourselves and look at what we've achieved over the years, and maybe there is a wee bit of being a victim, as you said earlier, Chris, about being a victim of our own success, because we have managed to achieve many things through a reasonable relationship, a good relationship with the company. But there are people who want to destroy that. And our ability to continue to maintain the things that we've won and to create a better future for the people that work for the company now and want to continue working for the company, and those that will come long after us, as if we win this fight. And it is a consultative ballot. And that yes vote, taking part and voting yes, will send a very, very clear message to Openreach, to BT, to EE, across the piece, that the CWU are serious about this. We have not changed, you've changed. We've not lost our moral compass, you've lost your moral compass. Or you've brought a compass from somewhere else that doesn't know right from wrong and doesn't know north from south. We are an organisation that's well organised, and we're an organisation that's passionate about looking after the people that we represent. And we look after those people that we represent because they put their trust and their faith in us. And part of that trust and faith from us to you is to ask you to take part in this ballot, vote yes in huge numbers, get your colleagues involved, get them involved, talk about it, raise it at team meetings, ask your governor what they think about it, and get the message there high and loud. And I can tell you the other thing to finish on, we are getting fantastic support from parliamentarians. We're getting fantastic support from councillors. We're getting fantastic support from those individuals because we're getting the message to them. And what they are doing is they're recognising the value that you bring as employees, as members of the CWU, to their communities and their society, and they recognise and value that, and they're willing to support you. So keep up the good work, everybody that's tipping in and doing their bit. For anybody that wants to come and join in and take part, can I tell you, we don't have enough branch representatives, we don't have enough representatives, we don't have enough points of contact. You can all be a representative of some form. Get involved, deliver a huge yes vote, and together we will fundamentally win this argument. Thank you very much for joining the call, and please tell as many of your colleagues as possible to listen to the replay. And finally, Chris, thank you very much for your technical help earlier.
Yeah, we got there, mate. So that's fantastic. And I have to say, I mean, the comments have been brilliant tonight. So just to close up then from myself before we wrap up the session, to say thank you to Davie and Julia, because I think it's right that we do that every time we have guest speakers on. It's not easy when you don't know what the questions are going to be and you're on live and you don't know whether you got your laptop or your phone to work before you start and all those things that come at you. So it is new. So thank you to both of you guys. To advertise another plug tomorrow as well, we've got a Ballot Eve rally, same time, 7 p.m. Andy Kerr, Karen Rose, Dave Ward, and some brilliant guest speakers as well. So please tune in again tomorrow as we ramp things up ahead of the ballot. Big thank you to the members who have tuned in and the reps who have tuned in tonight, because without you turning up, all of this is pointless. So it's fantastic. And a final, big final message is, it's a massive day on Thursday. Our final message to you, two things. Please vote yes. Good night, everybody.
Cheers.